I'm going to show you how to use the QBank on USMLE Sapphire. In order to get to the QBank, look at the menu bar and then click on the QBank link. And you will be taken to a page which will allow you to configure the tests that you are going to take. You have the options of setting up your tests to come from certain subjects like anatomy, physiology, behavioral sciences, basically the basic sciences categories. You can select where you would like your questions to come from. Furthermore, you can select what systems or subsystems you would like the questions to be based on. For example, if you want predominantly cardiovascular questions, you would select the cardiovascular checkbox. If you want primarily lung questions and respiratory questions, you would select pulmonary. In my case, I'm going to select all for this example. For question mode, I can choose to take all the questions that exist in the QBank, regardless of whether you've done them or not in past tests. You can select unused, which will only pull questions that you haven't used in your past tests. Or you could select incorrect or unanswered, which will only pull questions you haven't done before in previous tests. Of course, these questions will be based on the subject and systems you chose previously. So regardless of what type of mode you select, it will be filtered by subject and systems. So regardless of the question mode. The next mode you get to choose is whether it's a timed test or not timed test. For time tests, you will have approximately or exactly 1 minute per question, which is very similar to the USMLE board exam when you're taking it at the on-site. I gave you a little bit less time because you will need to review the questions at the end of your test, and consequently, in reality, you only have 1 minute per test. If you select not timed, you will have unlimited time for your test, and you usually select this mode when you're studying and you want to research your questions and for whatever reasons else you might want. For this test, I'm going to put in only 5 questions for this example. I'm going to start the test. I'm going to select start the test because I'm sure of my settings. It loads and boom, I'm in the test, as you can see. So just like on the USMLE board exam system, I have my lab values over here. I don't recommend you use these even though they're correct, because what I found is that there's not enough time to look it up. You should have them all memorized. You could also take down notes while you're doing the exam in case another question triggers a point that makes you remember the answer or the correct answer for a previous question. You can take down the notes here, and you have a calculator just like on the USMLE board exam. For each question, you have the option of flagging it, and when you select the flag, as you can see next to the question, you'll have a flag if you want to come back to it later. You could also select the answers and lock them in if you're sure that they're correct and you don't want to come back to it, and the lock will show up next to the question on the left hand side, which has links to all the questions on your exam. So in order to go to the next question, I could select the next, I can choose the arrows at the top of the screen. So I'm going to go select the next question. I'll select an answer, go to the next question. So I'm finishing the test, and then I click end test because I'm at the end of the test. I'm done. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I end the test. It says make sure you completed all the answers, questions to your satisfaction prior to clicking yes, and I click yes, and I am done. I've done my first test, and for randomly selecting questions, I did all right. I got a 60%, but for the actual USMLE, you need a 70% to pass. And I suggest on this QBank, you get high 90s prior to moving on to the paid question banks, because that's what you're going to need to do well on the step score, because your score doesn't matter as much as how high you get in relation to everybody else, and that'll determine what specialties you can get into. Click OK, and you have You get to see your statistics on the test you just did, and you get to see the history. However, I'll go into more detail on the rest of these options in another video. However, now you know how to use the question bank. That is all for now. Mr. 1 is done.